Before I get into the issues of the press, and you spent a big portion of your career working in the media, I look at the history. When Bill Clinton had his first midterm election, he lost 8 Senate seats, and he lost 52 House seats. Barack Obama lost 6 Senate seats and 63 House seats. And I kind of like to look at things through the prism of history a little bit. And the 30-some-odd seats that the president lost in the House in his first midterm, and it looks like 3 Senate seat pickups on his part, seems to me to have really bucked a trend. And the states where he campaigned, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, North Dakota, Indiana, Missouri, Texas in particular, did really well. How do you interpret these results?
Well, I think the Senate's going to be 54 Republicans, and so obviously that's a victory for the Republican Party. And my analysis on BillO'Reilly.com was that people didn't vote against the House candidates for policy reasons. So the economy's good, strong, everybody knows it. Foreign policy, pretty robust. You don't hear about ISIS anymore. That's a huge victory that I think Mr. Trump should tout a little bit more than he does. Because on policy basis, both Obama and Clinton had big problems in their first terms. Trump been pretty successful in policy. He's been pretty successful. So if he can moderate his personal agenda a little bit, then he'll be a stronger candidate 2 years from now.
So, look, there have been a lot of people. Everyone seems to think, well, Hannity, you have so much influence with the president. And if I did, well, way early in the campaign when he was running, I said at one point, this was during the primaries, I said, you need to stop tweeting.
Yeah, he doesn't like you anyway. He told me that. Yeah, he didn't like you.
I don't blame him.
No, he just knows you have the highest rated show on cable. When I had the highest rated show on cable, he liked me. No, he doesn't like me.
By the way, I want to bring you back. It's a lot easier being number 2, O'Reilly. I just want you to know that.
Listen, I know. I mean, I'm watching what's happening to you and the other successful Fox News people. And look, but that happened to me, as you know, for 15 years.
Well, it happened to me.
On my front lawn for 15 years.
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah,
anybody that is different. And this is what I really want to get into. I'm looking at these articles today and these tweets. Look at Rachel Maddow. She's giving out information. It's happening. This is a break the glass in case of emergency plan to protect the Mueller investigation. 5 p.m. local time. Protest tomorrow. She's talking about 900 protests around the country. You saw, I'm sure, what happened to our friend and our colleague Tucker Carlson and what happened at his house. I know you've been through it. I've been through it. I've been through it for 20 years, things that I can't even mention on this radio program. I've had white powder sent to my office. I had an assistant of mine literally 11 hours in isolation thinking it was anthrax because that's what they said it was. We've had ricin sent to the president, Secretary of Defense, FBI director. We have all these people confronted in restaurants. Now Tucker Carlson's home and family are being threatened. They're getting right up in our face, right where we live.
Yeah.
And something's going to happen.
Well, look, they're inciting violence. That's a crime. So I hope that some of those people are prosecuted by the D.C. authorities, federal offense in the district. In my house, it got so bad I had to have people live inside my house. Security people actually sleep in my house. And people say, hey, O'Reilly, come back to TV, we miss you, all that. You know what? I don't miss that. I don't miss having people, security guards, armed guards, sleeping inside my house.
I've had the same thing. It's horrible.
Yeah. My kids are looking at me like, is this Uncle Fred? Yeah. Come on. It is so out of control. Yet, do we see a New York Times editorial on that? No.
Well, mostly we keep it private. Mostly.
Well, yeah, but they know what's happening. They know Antifa. We got these groups, and they're on the net. And they put out something, meet at so-and-so's house at 3 o'clock, or, hey, Senator Cruz is in a restaurant, everybody get over there so we can't eat. I mean, who's doing that? Who's doing that? It's on the far left. That's who's doing it. And it's like we were just talking about. That's evil. You don't turn away from that. So I hope these people who are inciting violence, I hope they're charged. That's the only way it's going to stop.
I said recently, and I know the media that ignored all that was happening to Secretary Nielsen and Sarah Sanders. Sarah Sanders has her kids with her, and Ted Cruz. Yeah. Pam Bondi couldn't even go to a movie by herself. And all these other incidents, Mitch McConnell, all the rhetoric leading up to it, it's the mob mentality, and people feel free to really get in your grill. We saw it happen to our former colleague of yours, Brian Kilmeade, Tucker Carlson. Our home addresses are now being plastered all over the internet by Antifa and other groups. A lot of these people we're talking about have families, they have children, they have wives, and it's extraordinarily dangerous. And I remember when, for example, people were complaining that the crowds at the Trump rallies say, CNN sucks, and they do, or fake news, and they said, that's going to lead to violence. I said, wait a minute, I'm the first one. If I'm there, I will jump on stage in the crowd, and I will fight for you. And I don't particularly like them individually. I would not let anybody lay a hand on any reporter, ever. I stand behind that.
And, with the Acosta thing, I wrote a column on BillO'Reilly.com, and I didn't like to write this column because I've been, as you point out, around for a long 45 years. 45 years in the journalism industry. I don't want to encourage anybody to lose their credentials. I said yesterday, right after that display, that the Trump administration should pull his credentials. And here's why. His job is to get information to the American people, right? That's a job of the White House correspondent. It's a prestigious job. I think John Roberts of Fox is the best of them, okay? But it's an important job because you don't get constant access to the president. So when I saw Acosta jump up and then give his opinion, this is the first thing he did. He didn't ask a question. He basically said, this caravan, they're not an invasion force. You know that. Like, you're a liar, you're an idiot, okay? And you know that this is a fallacious situation. Well, hold it. That's not your job, all right? Your job is, if you want to get that point, you say, some people believe you've overstated that the caravan is an invasion force. Do you see their point? That's how you ask that question.
Let me ask you this, because you did get interviews with Obama. How many times did you interview him?
3.
I said at the time when he was president, for me, that would be an almost impossible interview because you respect the office. Let's say I asked him about Bill Ayers, Bernardine Dorn, questions I would have asked that I felt he never really got questioned or pushed on. Or I asked him more about Reverend Wright, or if he ever met Farrakhan. It turns out there's a picture 8 years later. It was hidden from everybody. I would not have the luxury of really being rude to the president because I respect the office. It's the hardest. And
you could have asked those questions, and you would have.
But that would be
you would have in a way that was certainly appropriate. Look, when I interviewed 5 presidents, all right, and I asked all of them very tough questions. You can Google O'Reilly, Obama, O'Reilly, Bush the Younger, O'Reilly, Bill Clinton, and you could see. Because absolutely, you just hit it right on the head. You respect the office.
I do. I really do.
Every journalist is trained to do that. So Acosta knows that. I mean, he's not an idiot.
But you hear the languge on
but he's a grandstander. He's doing it.
Liar. I've heard, racist, liar, racist, every day.
Yeah, but I want to just, so your audience understands this crystal clear. Acosta knew what he was going to do, and that is provoke Donald Trump. He wasn't there to ask a question or elicit information. He was there to provoke him. He also knew that his masters at CNN wanted that provocation. They wanted it, all right? So he knew he was going to get lauded, and he knew that the club was going to stand behind him. The club is the other White House correspondents, which they absolutely have. So he knew that by provoking the president rather than trying to do his job by getting information about the caravan, all right, would get him on Colbert, on The View, would get him a raise at CNN, and maybe a book deal.
Killing SS, #1 on the New York Times list. Bill O'Reilly, thanks for being with us.